and welcome to this side event organized by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in collaboration with Sweden and the UNDP. I am Maymoun Al-Khalil. I'm the Secretary General of the Family Affairs Council in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and I am pleased to moderate this session titled Beyond Women's Inclusive Empowerment, Poverty Reduction, Institutional Enhancement, beginning with Her Highness Princess Nof bint Mohammed Al Saud, CEO of King Khalid Foundation. Also, Dr. Ilham Al-Dakhil, CEO of Fulus Society for Financial Awareness. Also, Dr. Mansour Al-Romayyan, Executive Director of Population and Development at the Ministry of Economy and Planning. Also, Dr. Lamia Al-Umair, Executive Expert and Advisor at the Technology Foresight and Digital Economy Deputyship within the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology. And finally, Mr. Abdul Ilah Al-Khrashi, General Manager of Enablement at the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development. Thank you all for accepting our invitation. I will begin directly by asking questions of all the participants, with hopefully a few minutes towards the end for questions from the room. That brings us to you, Your Highness. Princess Nof, at King Khalid Foundation, we'd like you to shed light on philanthropy as a whole. And
thank you all for being here and including me in this session. Philanthropy plays a crucial role when it comes to data. We need the data to understand and put in the interventions that we need. And the most basic role philanthropy plays is funding. So anybody who has tried to get data, get access to data, gather data, understands the complexities, whether they're systemic or financial. So the most basic is funding. The second is capacity development with the data collectors. We contribute also to innovative ways in collecting data. So this is how philanthropy contributes in data collection and gender specific, and we can still agree with the amount of data that's still out there.
Well, we've always known that financial inclusion, which means accessibility to financial products and services, is a main driver of a crucial driver of economical growth and poverty reduction globally. However, today we know that accessibility is not enough. We need what's called financial literacy, especially digital financial literacy. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and also the G20 country as a main pillar, and we made it a main pillar of our Vision 20. Financial NGOs, organizations, such as the one I'm working on, and the one I'm working on.
Expanding the bandwidth, 4G and 5G. I will start answering this question by telling a story about digital transformation in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, we start with a vision that we are looking to the future, we are foresighting the future and how it will affect our economy. So we look at the digital transformation, that opportunity and inclusion and economy growth. Our vision looking to the digital transformation is not only a tool, it's a bridge that bridges the gap between those who have the opportunity and those who doesn't have the opportunity. Digital Saudi Academy, they train more than 25,000 Saudi, 70% of them women. These women are driving us to the new world of digital economy. And we can see that when the story here in Saudi Arabia, women empowered, it's not just a...
Thank you, Dictora. That was a glimpse into perhaps the local context into Saudi Arabia, but I'd like to turn now to Ms. Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maruma, and also affordable childcare, which meant that there was a possibility to combine professional life and family life, because there was childcare that was available and of good quality. Interesting to be here and share the experience we had in Sweden, because we have implemented some of these reforms that we have been talking about this morning, this afternoon, and we've seen very big impact on the economic growth and social development of Sweden because of these reforms. So the key reforms that I would like to briefly first mention is separate income taxation for husband and wife. Spouses in 1971 were no longer taxed as one entity. And this was a very important incentive for women to start working, because their income was no longer seen as part of their husband's income, which then greatly increased the number of women in paid work. A gender-neutral parental leave, which meant that both parents, women and men, mums and dads, could be home with their children on paid parental leave. This also, of course, made both parents prime caregivers 2 years when they are very young, but also later on in life. So we have seen this reform, and this is very much part of the importance of gender budgeting, which means including a gender equality perspective in the budget process.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I'm honored to be here with you today. We in the region are proud of what Saudi Arabia has been achieving in the field of women empowerment, both economically, socially, legally, in all aspects, and in the civil society domain as well. In the economy, we see, and we are very happy to see, the reduction in the gender gap in labor force participation in Saudi Arabia to below 50%. That's a very important step forward, because this is something UNDP, you asked me, what are you doing? The care economy system in our region is not valued financially. We actually don't know what's the opportunity cost of women providing care at home. Ministries of Finance in the way they decide their budgets, support to ministries of planning. I'm very happy that you are mentioning financing and not just funding, because we are a technical assistance agency that relies traditionally on donor contributions to fund these programs. And we've had some very exciting programs on gender tagged budgeting, taxation system that are gender sensitive. Our job is to step in and bridge that gap, whether it is de-risking, whether it is leveraging, whether it is providing some of the guarantees that are necessary, whether even subsidizing interest rates.
Social services are tailored to the empowerment and support of beneficiaries, in particular for women, with a focus on fostering women's participation. Encapsulates an extensive suite of programs and interventions. We believe we've heard some of the programs Dr. Ilham just mentioned. Building on what Dr. Mansour and Dr. Abdullah has mentioned, they highlighted the pivotal role of economic engagement in advancing women's empowerment. It's really imperative to scrutinize the 4 principal areas that the Kingdom is working on. These interventions and programs are designed to mitigate various obstacles to employment, education, and broader societal engagement. Thirdly, the enhancement of human development, which includes looking at the other aspects of the household and women in particular, and the advancement of social welfare systems. There is substantial evidence supporting the strong correlation between a nation's total income growth and the financial well-being of its populace. And the vocational training, as Ms. Elizabeth just mentioned.
On the slides there you can see what we've done in numbers in terms of part of our programs. So there's been capacity training, training of leading women leaders in the NGO sector. We've incubated the most prominent and impactful organizations now and working in Riyadh. But more importantly, as a philanthropic organization that is always concerned with the vulnerable, not with people who have reached. Our concern and what we try to do is initiate systems change, because the vulnerable usually are there and they cannot take advantage of interventions that are put in, is because there are systemic, let's say, challenges. In 2014, we started our studies on poverty and the economically vulnerable groups. And from that study, we wanted to understand 3,800 plus families headed by women to specifically understand feminized poverty. In 2018, we did a study on financial inclusion that have not been caught by the welfare system or the training programs that are there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Staying within the nonprofit sector, Dr. Ilham, KSA Vision 2030 has launched several initiatives and programs.
We looked at what are the main work is done, for instance, the agriculture development, diversifying the income. Projects today are in mall. The first shop that we're opening now, it's in shops next to Chanel and Fendi, and so you see it's magical when you see these, how you just take something that is existing and take it to a different level is impressive.
You at the Ministry of Economy and Planning, could you elaborate on how the multidimensional approach to women's empowerment aligns with sustainable development goals?
In Saudi, I think the multidimensional approach to women empowerment is not just a catchphrase. It really is a comprehensive strategy that assesses all of the challenges that women go through across the life cycle and then tries to address on multiple fronts. I think the first thing that we look at in the Ministry of Planning is to look at the demographic situation in the country. But every time you reach a target, it's a step in the ladder to what's next. So more than 5% of the GDP by 2030. Today we're about 0.9. So there's a huge, actually, appetite for NGOs to be engaged. There are two key players, I think, the National Center for Not-for-Profit.
Between different sectors in Saudi Arabia to make a success story. So one of the success story I will talk today, Mithaq application. As I mentioned, because in Ministry of Communication, we try to cover Saudi Arabia, even in rural area. Thank you very much. I would like to have this opportunity to thank Dr. Mansour. From the challenges that we have in different sectors, we build a success story to families that living in a very rural area that they cannot empower themselves. So this application can help them delivering their food. This application is helping until now 80 family, Saudi family.
And I'm also glad to have listed in 30 under 30 Africa Forbes. So
I would like to start by thanking you for organizing this, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, and UNDP, and by congratulating Saudi Arabia for all the advancement that we have seen over the past 5 years, particularly in the area of women, and the advancement and the improvement and the lifting of restrictions.
And I think on the adaptation part, we're starting to see a lot of improvements, specifically when it comes to bringing solar, bringing in healthcare facilities, right? So
and I would like really to highlight something very personal. I've been impressed that it's all my life I'm working to promote and accelerate women gender equality, and I've never been in any country in the world that did so many things in each field, including tourism. So I'm talking about tourism. Women are very involved in tourism. The first face you see arriving at the airport in the police, woman who smile and say, welcome in my country.
How we can face the internal and external obstacles that in our projects of empowering women and globally.
The numbers you presented speak for themselves. We are squandering the most important resource we have on this planet. That strong force for diversity.
Thank you very much. The nonprofit sector has been a major driver of structural changes